All right. I believe we are live. Welcome, everyone. Please feel free to say hello in the comments. Just let us know you're here. If there's anything specific you want us to kind of dive into deeply today, obviously, you signed up for this event, so you know the topic is all about recruitment strategies for manufacturers specifically. But if you're in another industry or in the B2B space, I'm sure a lot of these tips and tricks can translate to that as well. But yeah, let us know you're here so we can say hello as you come in. And if you're new here, my name's Ann Cotter, and we have Andrea Yank as well. Hi, Andrea.
Hello.
Okay. So I'll talk a little bit while we wait for people to get in here. So how we're going to do things today, we have kind of a supplemental presentation just to give you some, I guess, facts up on the screen here. But we're keeping this very conversational. So Andrea and I will kind of discuss along the way the topics that we've presented on. So we'll have digital tools, strategies for recruitment, website tips and tricks, lots of other good things. And I'll be asking Andrea questions along the way regarding kind of what she's sharing. But definitely feel free to ask us questions in the comments. This is also your time to kind of pick our brains. So I'd rather hear from you guys asking Andrea questions, although I'm happy to ask Andrea questions too. So definitely feel free and please utilize the chat along the way. And hi, Andre. Thanks for joining. Andre is a new team member here at Top Floor. So this is his first workshop webinar that he's attending. All right, let's go ahead and get started. I am going to let you take the floor, Andrea, kind of kicking things off, and then we'll dive into deeper topics along the way.
Sure. So I thought we'd start with some stats. If you're here because you're already feeling the pain of these stats, then you already know them. But 463,000 unfilled positions within the manufacturing sector as of November 2024. So a pretty recent stat there from the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. That's a lot. That's so much, right? And growing every day, which includes then the stat below, which is looking forward about 10 years. So by 2034, the manufacturing industry will need approximately 3.8 million jobs filled, and 1.9 million, if trends continue, of those positions could remain unfilled due to challenges in attracting and retaining talent. So obviously feeling the pain and continuing trends, we need to be doing something different, right?
Mm-hmm. There you
go. All right. So I thought we'd start with some tips on with your website. Feels like the best place to start before you start pushing traffic to those pages, right? So the first thing that we recommend is having a dedicated section of your site, not just for job postings, but also talking about your company culture, your employer brand, things that can really showcase what it's like to work for you. Again, you're basically competing against other recruiters and other employers for these employees. So make sure that if you have really solid programs like employee development programs, any kind of community involvement opportunities, that you're showcasing them somewhere that they can be easily digested by the people that are looking for those kind of things in their job search. So again, having that dedicated section, post your job responsibilities and benefits right there. Some of you may be using also an ATS, an applicant tracking system. That's fine too. There's SEO benefits to both. We can talk about that too. But definitely then maybe showcase your benefits and your company culture on your website before taking them off site to that ATS. Showcasing your employer brand, so who you are as an employer, what kind of things that you do to support your employees, as well as cultivate basically growth within your company. Employee development programs, like I mentioned, are super critical to some people. They want to know that they are being developed, that they're not just going to come into a job that has no path whatsoever. And then community involvement opportunities. This is something that we're getting asked more and more to showcase when I'm personally interviewing people. People want to get involved with their communities, and they want to see that the company that they're working for also supports other communities around them, right? And then always, just with anything that you're presenting, use good visuals. So pictures of your events, any videos that you can share, any employee testimonials for sure, any quotes from your employees about what they love about your company.
Mm-hmm. I would add to this too, just kind of generally why we are talking about your website versus social media or LinkedIn or things like that. It's
Mm-hmm.
kind of the same reason we start with the website when we talk to clients, just even about lead generation, entirely separate. Ultimately, a potential customer or a potential employee, even if they hear of you through some other medium, they are probably going to eventually get to your website, research that, use that as a tool to figure out their interview questions for you, to kind of figure out who you are. Um, and it's just a really important starting point, because I think any external efforts that you put into your recruitment marketing, not saying they're a lost cause necessarily, but you're going to have a harder time filling those gaps if your website does not really reflect who you are and showcase all of these things that you're talking about here, Andrea.
Yep.
Yeah. So that said, because we've had this situation before with our clients, what if you don't have maybe the most updated website, or you don't have really a great careers section on your website?
Mm-hmm.
What can you do in that situation if you feel like you need a workaround?
Mm-hmm. Well, first and foremost, start thinking about a new website and talk to
Mhm.
us about that. Because that's unfortunate. That's the face of your company digitally, right?
Mhm.
But there are workarounds. We use a couple different options like Unbounce or Instapage, which is basically just a landing page creation system, basically, that we can put together a quick landing page to at least send people to that houses the information that you want to be showcasing there. So we can help you design that. You can do it on your own, but then you would send basically your applicants there instead of your own website. And then you're basically just designing one landing page that gets them the information that they need to make a good decision about whether they're going to apply for your company.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I'd say obviously first preference is, like you said, update your website. Or if you can, at least create a careers page on your website. That's best case scenario. I
Yeah.
think Unbounce is then a great backup option. And then maybe as a last resort, you could lean on social media. You could have like a specific careers page. So if
Mhm.
you have your main company page, you could also have kind of your company's dash careers or whatever, making that kind of the location, the main hub that you try to direct that traffic to. So there's some workarounds, but I think ultimately best case scenario is you have a website that can support a careers page.
Yeah. And I would say too, like I've even seen like social media accounts they have their company page, but then they have a company page dedicated to recruitment or
Hmm.
employee development. And, but if you don't have the resources to do that, then don't do that because
Yeah,
then you also don't want just a blank company page. So
that is very true.
yeah,
And we've
don't
seen that
tackle that
before.
if you really can't.
Yeah. Then
Real-
it's has a counter effect.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. One more question I have for you, Andrea, on website stuff. Um, I mean, you touched on it a little bit. Is SEO relevant at all or helpful in recruitment strategy specifically to your website?
Yeah, so if you're still listing your jobs directly on your website, make sure that you have key fields on there, like the job title, wages if you can, some of the benefits, but make sure that those are clearly labeled, because other like Google Jobs actually picks that up from your website and serves it to people just generally searching for those jobs with using Google. So yeah, definitely make sure that you check out what kind of fields that it's looking for. Also, if you're familiar with schema, you can certainly put some schema behind it. And that's basically like backend language that speaks directly to search engines. So it's just going to tell the search engine, this is my job title, this is the responsibilities, this section is the benefits, or, what have you, wages or whatever. So definitely look into that as well. But yes, it does have SEO value for sure.
Yeah. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Feel free to ask a question, guys. I think we'll move on to next section here, but we can always come back to website questions if you have them. Let me just jump around. All right. Social channels.
Yeah, and I think this is probably the thing that people go to first, like how can I use my social channels better for recruiting, which is good that you're asking. So showcasing on your company pages in the social channels, your community involvement. Again, those things that you want to showcase also on your website. If you're not able to do that yet, because again, you can't update your website or what have you, make sure that you're showcasing how your employees are getting involved in the community, or what kind of programs that your company is running to benefit your community. Also, company events, so annual picnics, holiday parties, employee appreciation events. Make sure that you're also showcasing those. Pictures are really nice here too. So make sure one of you in the marketing team is going around and snapping some pictures just to be able to then post about it and show everybody having a good time, getting involved. That we also see on a lot of the accounts that we run that those tend to be the ones that the current employees will interact with too, which has a huge effect on getting that out to new people as well, because then their friends and family see it, or their connections see it, right? So yes, showcasing all those company event will basically catapult your brand into other people's feeds organically, right? Spotlight some employees if you can. So I have a employee spotlight for Jasmine here as an example. Just a quick quote from her that basically says how much she loves doing project management. So again, if we were looking for another project manager, this would be a great way to showcase her dedication for her role, and then try to find other people like that. If somebody's like, gosh, I would love to be in that role and have that kind of passion about what I'm doing, right? People speak to people, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Then you're not just like some nameless, faceless company trying to push out propaganda.
Mhm.
And then company news. So any kind of recognitions that the company receives, any kind of growth that you want to showcase, any innovation. So if you're investing in your automation, let's say, make sure you showcase that, show videos, be excited about that, because people also want to work for companies that are investing back in themselves and showing growth.
Mhm.
So I think that also gets pushed under the rug sometimes, and you don't realize how much value that can have to recruitment.
Mhm.
And then obviously open position posts for sharing. So post them directly to your organic feed so that you can get your current employees to share that easily. And then anybody else that wants to, maybe somebody tags somebody else in it, like, hey, look at this. It's an easy way to get that out there.
Definitely. I think I would add too, with that company news, you kind of like hinted towards it, is the thought leadership side of things too. I mean, we
Mhm.
preach about that a lot internally with our own management team. And then we talk to our clients about how important thought leadership is. And again, we kind of position that as it's important for building your lead gen program. But I also see it just as effective for recruitment as well.
Mhm.
Potential candidates want to see, like you said, that you're investing in innovation, that your leaders are kind of present and active in the industry. They're thoughtful. They have innovative ideas. They have their own opinions about what's going on in the industry. I think that is a really important piece to all of this too.
Yeah, and it gives a voice then to those people that at other companies they might not hear from. You know what I mean? Like, oh, the
Mhm.
CEO, that's that position up there. I've never spoken to them or heard from them.
Right.
It gives them a voice, and I think that speaks to also potential employees.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So, question I have that comes up a lot with our customer base being primarily manufacturers. So, we in the marketing field use LinkedIn quite a bit for our own recruitment efforts and our own kind of networking and things like that. That I think resonates for sort of white collar
White collar
jobs.
jobs.
And yeah, management roles and things like that. But a lot of times, for our customers trying to fill like shop floor jobs, LinkedIn might not be the best place. So,
Yeah.
how do you assess or recommend the best social media channels to work through or recruit
Mhm.
through?
Yeah, I definitely you don't want to use a channel that doesn't have your audience on it for sure, right? So
Mhm.
yeah, if you're looking for more of the blue collar jobs, LinkedIn's probably not going to be it, unless again you're looking for a more management level or anything that more requires like a certification. We've been seeing more of those positions on there. So Facebook is definitely an option. Just know that the targeting is a lot looser on Facebook. That doesn't mean it can't be successful, because we have seen it be successful for quite a few clients. Just know that you're going to reach a lot of people that probably aren't going to be engaging with that role for sure. But that's not to say that you shouldn't do it. So on LinkedIn, you have the luxury of targeting by job title, what industry they currently have a position in, geography. Whereas like Facebook, you have geography and you basically have interests. And you might think, oh, well, I'm not going to target somebody interested in manufacturing. Like, who indicates that they're interested in manufacturing? I wouldn't think about it that way. That's actually an interest in like what kind of companies pages that they've actually been interacting with. So you certainly can start there. And that has worked for us as well. So definitely worth a shot to go after Facebook. Put some money behind it. You can boost your own organic posts too. It's a low cost. You don't have to then create special ads or anything. Just boost the post that you're actually doing anyway for organic. Also, they'll see if you have current employees interacting with that post. That'll translate to the boosted post as well, which is really good to see, because then anybody looking at that is going to be like, oh, the current employees are promoting this as well, like they're interacting with it or liking it or whatever, or commenting on it. So that's always a plus for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Um, One thought I have, tell me if this
Mhm.
is something you could do or not. Could you do like a lookalike audience with some of these other channels, Facebook or even like Google ads? Could you do a lookalike audience to your current employees if that audience was large enough? Like you'd probably have to have a significant sized employee base, but would that work?
I know that there is regulations around recruitment advertising specifically
Mm,
on LinkedIn and Facebook that I don't believe you can use lookalike
lookalike for
audiences.
that.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think it's restricted for that, because you have to indicate that this is a recruitment ad. That's one of the types of ads that
Right.
you have to tell Facebook, otherwise they will shut you down. So I believe at that point it shuts down the ability to use lookalike audiences.
Okay, yeah, that's right. It's been a very long time since I've set up a Facebook ad, and now I am remembering that, yes, you have a lot of restrictions once you set that recruitment, which you should do because you don't want to get banned, but
Right,
you will have to figure out some workarounds as far as targeting goes.
for sure. Hmm.
I know we'll talk more about advertising in a little bit here, getting back to kind of your organic social media channels or your organic strategy.
Mhm.
You touched on this a little bit, but how can you encourage, I guess, employees to interact with your social media?
However you normally spread news throughout your company, talk about your social media channels. Say, "Hey, if you're not
Mhm.
following our company page to see when we're posting things, like, do that. Get on there." Most everybody's on Facebook at least, so get them
Mhm.
to follow the page so they can see your posts when you post them, and then encourage things like if you have a, employee referral bonuses. Talk about that and say, hey, the best way to know if we're hiring for something is look on our website or follow our Facebook page, and we'll post about open positions. And you can easily share
Mhm.
that post right there to your friends and family, or tag somebody that you know. And then that's how you get, you get into the referral bonus type program, if you have them, obviously.
Right.
But yeah, that's definitely one way to promote that. But yeah, just talk about it. Talk to your employees. Tell them that you're active on social
Yeah.
media, and we want to get them involved, and we could really use their support and liking and commenting and following.
Yeah, everyone at Top Floor knows that I am that person. Like, "All right, we have an
Yeah,
upcoming event. Please
yeah,
reshare it." Yeah, I think that's like, just making sure they're aware that you have this channel, that you share information
mhm,
through this channel is really important, and I think what you said earlier too about including, employee spotlights, maybe getting testimonials or even doing, like, a short interview with them, something that makes them, like, highlighted or featured in some
involved.
way, they're gonna be
Mhm.
more likely to share that content and get that
Yes.
exposure.
Yeah, and when they share it, then their friends and families are going to share it, and then you're just going to get all that reach.
Yes, definitely. Okay, we have a question from Megan. It is, what are your thoughts to or on having company socials linked in email signatures?
Yeah, why not? I mean, it's yeah. Why not, right? I don't think it would harm anything, and then as long as you're active on those social media channels. So don't send them to a social media channel that's, whoever you're communicating with, um, don't have them go to a social media channel that's all of a sudden blank or how you haven't posted in a year. Definitely make sure that whatever social media channels you're linking to are active,
Mhm.
um, and highlight you in a good way. So
Yeah,
yeah, I don't see why not. Absolutely.
yeah. I say get creative with
Especially
your
on
email.
recruiters. Yeah.
Huh?
Especially for recruiters. Like if
Mhm.
you're actively emailing people in recruitment, like,
Yeah, if that's your role, I think that definitely you should have, that in your signature, and I like getting creative with our email signatures too, like, I added a link to our podcast and ours. You could add your own personal, like, LinkedIn page too if you're posting a lot of recruitment type of content and you are
mhm,
or consider yourself to be a thought leader, I think, yeah, why not? Can't hurt
right,
anything.
right.
Alright, cool. All right. I know we started this conversation a little bit, but I think next up here is promotion. So I think specifically advertising, if you want to talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, yeah. So I'll just run through the first thing because I already mentioned it. But Google for Jobs will pick up job postings from job boards, so like Indeed, LinkedIn, Glassdoor, your website, or from your ATS. And I have an asterisk next to ATS because if your ATS may not support that, so you just have to look at what the features are for that applicant tracking system. But it should be pretty it should be in the features if it does have schema or it does allow for Google to pick those up. On the LinkedIn company pages do allow one free job posting at a time. It's a limited reach and it only runs for a short amount of time. But if you're looking for a free option there, you can certainly do that. See what you get maybe in the free option. And then if you want to put money behind it, because you're getting some good quality content or uh, applicants, then you can make that choice after that. So you can kind of test it for free for a little bit there. On social media advertising, boost posts about open positions. So we kind of already talked about that, but I think that's the easiest thing that you can do is you don't have to run dedicated ads necessarily, but boost the posts that you're already organically posting about those open positions. Um, and then again, you get to add a layer on targeting with the boosted posts. So that's handy. You can certainly run paid search using relevant keywords, so actual job, searchers, because you can target geographically too. You can narrow that down. So people in that geography looking for those jobs, definitely bring them in through paid search. Can.
Mhm.
You can also do remarketing ads for any visitors to your company page, career pages that didn't take an action yet. So staying in front of them, maybe they're at the point where they're not ready to put an application in, but they're kind of like testing the waters and seeing different companies, what they have to offer. You can stay in front of them, be like, hey, we want you on our team, or whatever the
Mhm.
message you want to be. But
Mhm.
yeah, it's a good way to do that. So that's kind of using all the gamut of digital marketing
Yeah.
together.
Yeah. And you'll probably not do all of these.
No,
You'll
probably
probably pick, the ones that are gonna be most effective,
not.
for you specifically. Again, if LinkedIn makes sense and that's where your potential candidate is, I would definitely lean in heavily towards that just because you do get so many different targeting capabilities there. But there's
Mhm.
plenty of options, I think, in these other channels as well.
Mhm.
Cool. So we have a few minutes left, so get your questions in if you have them. I have a question or kind of something I wanted to talk a little bit about that's sort of, it's not necessarily a tool, but something to consider kind of overarching that before you even get into this. And that is kind of your culture and your values and messaging in a way. Obviously, you can only get so far if you don't really know what makes your company a great place to work or why you should entice people to work there. It's kind of same again as marketing in general. You need to have your messaging nailed down. So if you're uncertain, or you're in HR or you're just marketing in charge of recruitment, and if you don't know or you don't have that clearly defined what those internal values are, what are your suggestions for kind of how you would find those or figure out what those are?
Yeah. I think I mean, as an employee, you should have some idea of what what kind of values your company has.
Mhm.
But feel free to talk to people, talk to other employees, talk to people in the open positions, or talk to people who are currently in the positions that are open,
Right.
that you want to recruit for. What brought them there? What made them stay? What do they love about working there? Certainly a conversation wouldn't hurt.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, yeah, think about how you can showcase the things that feedback you're getting into your messaging. So you just have to translate that into messaging that makes sense.
Mhm.
Who you're recruiting
Yeah.
for.
Yeah, I think you like nailed it with talking to other employees about what they see valuable. It's kind of like if you were to do like customer surveys, what's
Yeah,
going to attract a lead to, work with us, talk to your current employees. Hopefully they're happy. If they're not, then you have a whole other battle to look at first before you even start with recruitment.
exactly.
But yeah, like what makes them happy to work there,
Mhm.
you'll probably reveal some um, patterns, I guess, and you'll probably see some commonalities between answers and start to figure out what is the draw, what keeps people there. If you're in a leadership position, you can do what are called stay interviews too, which is kind of like talking through what makes you what's going to make you stay here, what's going to make your life better here.
Mhm.
Those can be valuable too. But yeah, I think that it's important to have some of that defined before going into this, just as you want to know, what are your core service offerings? What are your core, product lines, and how do you communicate that to a prospect? It's the
Mhm.
same kind of thing, I think.
I think people forget too in the recruiting side of things, or even the managers who are interviewing, that to talk about the company culture. That the employee may not know to ask, or they're not going to
Mhm.
ask because they're afraid to ask. But that can be, if you feel like you have a good culture and you have some good programs and you have good feedback. between management and your employees, talk about that. That's a benefit. In addition to the financial benefits and insurance, all that, it's a benefit to have a company that listens and encourages and supports. So
Yeah, definitely. And I feel like, we hire in a specific demographic a lot, which is the kind of the Gen Z. And at least in that demographic, they are asking about your culture.
yes,
That's one of the
yeah.
first things that
Mm-hmm.
comes up when the table turns and it's what questions do you have for us? The first question is about culture.
Yep.
I don't know if that's the same across industries, but I know in that demographic specifically, it's something that's valuable and ranked really highly in terms of trying to find a career fit. So just keep that in the back of your mind too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, it's been 30 minutes. So I think our time here is up. If you have those questions, get them in like right now, and then we have some time we can answer them. But otherwise, thank you all for joining. I didn't miss any slides. That was all we had, right? Andrea, or
Yep,
was there
that's
another
good.
one? Okay,
We're
good.
good.
Cool. Yeah, that's everything. So thank you all for joining. If you do have questions that come up after, feel free to reach out to either me or Andrea. You can email us. It's just first initial last name at topfloortech.com. Or you can find us on LinkedIn. That works too. But yeah, and then one other plug I should actually mention too while I have everyone here. If you're still here, we have a roundtable coming up also on the topic of recruitment, and we have two really fantastic guest speakers for that. So if you want to just dive in more to this topic, I will post the link here. Oh, thanks, Martha. You beat me to it. Yeah, so if you're local, if you're in the Milwaukee area, definitely consider attending that.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Thank you, Andrea. Appreciate
Yeah,
all your knowledge and insight. It's always a pleasure to have these little webinars with you.
I enjoy it.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Have a great
Thank
rest of your
you.
day. Bye.